is enough. Let's hear from the president.
I hope that the institutions we have, like ASUU, will sympathize with the country and the people. There's nothing wrong with showing the government and leadership that you don't like what they are doing. But enough is enough. Don't hurt the next generation, for goodness sake. So those of you who have friends that are teachers and influential or even not influential, please persuade them to go back to classes so that our children can resume their educational pursuit.
All right, BK, let's talk about this. Now, should this be seen as a tactic call by President Buhari for roundtable discussion with leadership of ASUU?
I don't know why he has not called them. I don't know why. Perhaps the president has made up his mind not to negotiate with them. Because it's about time, at least in the last 2 years, close to 2 years, ASUU has been on strike, go back to work, go on strike again. Before that memorandum of action was signed, ASUU was on strike for so long. And then the memorandum of action stipulated that certain steps will be taken. And that if those steps were not taken, ASUU, having suspended the strike, reserved the right by the labor laws to go on a fresh strike without officially notifying their employer. The employer is the Federal Ministry of Education. But what did we see? Those agreements are not honored. I believe that we will be in a much better place when government makes a habit of honoring its word. But that's not what we are seeing. They treated the health workers the same way. Those guys chose a time when we were battling with COVID to go on strike. Invariably, we had no choice. We had to yield to their demands. They said, look, we can't have a situation in which you are paying us the same hazard allowance that was instituted in the 80s, early 80s. You have to increase this hazard allowance. They made it look like they would never listen. But invariably, government was able to, government yielded to their demands and they are back to work. In this case, there are just two issues that ASUU says, look, address so that we can go back to work. The matter of IPPIS and UTAS. The University Transparency and Accountability Solution is, in their view, the right alternative to IPPIS because the IPPIS is not flexible for the university system, where I could be a staff of the University of Learning and I could go abroad on sabbatical, doing some work there. I could be a visiting lecturer in another university within our country and will still be drawing my salary. IPPIS, you cannot do that with IPPIS. You can't. It recognizes you as a staff of that university. You only draw your salary, you get paid in that university, nowhere else. And I said, this all over the world, this is not the system. This is not flexible. You said, come up with your alternative to it. Government should be able to look at the alternative that these guys spent about 30 million of their money coming up with. Look at it. If it makes sense, go ahead and use it. disenroll them from IPIS. But people are saying, oh, you cannot tell your employer the way, the way your salary should be paid and all that. That's why we have this situation. Then the second one, how many of us will agree to be on the same wages for 10 years or more? You have the 2009 agreement. The agreement even stipulates that it should be, from time to time, it should be reviewed. You refuse to review. These guys have been on the same wages since, and we don't want them to complain. Honestly, I don't understand. I have spoken with some of the people in government, and I agree with what the Committee of Vice Chancellors said, that only the president can solve this problem. Why did they say that? Because even the ministers have come out to say only the president can give the directive to migrate from IPPIS to UTAS. None of those ministers has got the power to do that. So when those VCs said only the president can end this strike, they were right. Led for Ngige. Ngige will want to end this strike, but Ngige is not even the employers of those guys.
All right, so Bikio, if it's looking like only the president can solve this problem, why then is he calling on well-meaning Nigerians like you and I?
He wants us to appeal to them. He believes that if we talk to them, that they are our friends. If we talk to them, that they will listen. These are people whose salaries have been stopped. The more you subject a person who is pursuing a goal, the more you subject him to pains, the more determined he becomes. This is not the longest strike in the history of ASUU. We've witnessed longer strikes.
Far longer.
So if we may refuse to pay them, somehow they will get by. But the students are suffering.
And the system,
And the system is suffering. That's why the president has a decision to make. Remember, clerics and some traditional rulers, led by the Sultan, met with these people, I think in December. They met with them. But I was told that even after meeting with them, they were supposed to then meet the president to convey to brief him on their discussion. But they were not even given audience. They've not told them that, okay, this is the time to come and brief the president about this matter. The issue of renegotiation of their condition of service and all that, government nominated someone. That person came up with a report. You refuse to do anything about the report. Your own person, you nominated Musalin Jibril to meet with them and then come up with his own findings. You didn't take action on it.
All right, GKB.
So how can the strike, how can it end? I just pity the students who are suffering. More and more of these young people will lose faith in our country if this kind of thing continues. People may think, oh, they can blackmail ASUU to end the strike. But as long as they are convinced that they are on the right track, they are not likely to yield to blackmail. And the longer it gets, the worse it becomes for everyone.
All right, GKB. I cannot begin to say or ask if this is worth it. But would you say that should it have actually come to this end? And for you, would you have said ASUU has actually tried? And for them, this needs to be sorted once and for all, while the students suffer.
Actually, it's now beyond ASUU. The non-academic staff unions have also joined. I think there is now a complete system fighting the system. And it's going to be messier as the days go by, because some of us were victims of the first long strike. That was 88 during the Babangida years. And some of us came back with this, from being Lekpa to this size. They never went back. But seriously, the Nigerian students, as of today, doesn't make sense for any guardian or parent to trust the system with their words. I know I will not. Because any child today that has not been to school in 4 years, normally in the last generation or so, the average age of graduation is 22, based on the way we rush our students to school. With this strike alone in the last 4 years, they've lost 4.5 years. That is about 6 years in academic terms. That means whatever we do today will take 4 years to balance out. That means we've lost a whole generation of some of our brightest minds to this strike. The only person responsible for this strike is the president. The only person who can stop this strike is the president. The only person who has the ability to talk and beg for us, instead of him asking us to beg them, he's the one to talk to them. He's the father. The Nigerian constitution gave the president enormous powers. Even the Nigerian president can do things that will be legalized later. That's how powerful he is. He can do stuff that will go back to the National Assembly and be ratified. So he doesn't even need us to do this job. All he has to do is call them to a table, agree to the ones he can agree with, then take whatever they have agreed to back to the National Assembly.
Well, it doesn't
And this
look like
National
that.
Assembly will rectify anything the president wants. So it's up to the president to be proactive. Because I have a feeling that ego is involved there. Somebody somewhere is feeling slighted by the audacity of these lecturers to go on strike. And he doesn't want to. I'm not saying this president, maybe the minister, maybe a permanent secretary. I don't know. But somebody in the system has made up his mind is going to punish these people
All
for
right.
subordination.
All right, gentlemen, we have Olawale from Ikorodu. Hello, Olawale.
Yeah, good evening, Jumoke.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, I just have two brief comments. If the president likes, let him start all the roads in all the states, as well as build flyover, all at sea. But history, because the people who are going to fly the roads and the bridges are not safe. So nobody will be interested. The life is our life is more important than the bridges and the roads. Secondly, this issue of ASUU strike, okay, let the president intervene as well as the UTAS to the president. Okay, there in every country there are some institutions with peculiarities, and one of them is the university system. Anybody in the ministry that wants to enjoy such privilege, let them go and get PhD and go and be teaching here. God bless you.
All right, thank you very much, Olawale. Bikeo, one of the key issues ASUU has pointed out is the issue of IPPS, which ASUU says is a conduit pipe to squander fund. How do you think it would be so hard for the government to accede to ASUU's demand for UTAS?
I think even for personal reasons, government is reluctant to do this. It's not so difficult to say, okay, we disenroll you guys from IPPIS, we use UTAS. Since we have checked UTAS and we have passed it fit, because I learned that it was initially passed fit. Now they call for another round of evaluation. But there are people who have made up their minds that, look, if we allow this strike to go on and on, these guys will eventually be blackmailed to call off the strike. But we've seen ASUU go on more than 6 months strike in this country before. So, and there was even a time that they were chased out of their residential
Quarters.
Yes, I think during Awalu Yadudu's time, you know, they chased them out of their quarters. But he still didn't end the strike. He still didn't end the strike. Huh? He's one of the best organized trade unions in our country, where you can't even talk to an individual, even if he's the president or chairman of ASUU, you can't talk to him and expect that you'll be able to leverage on your relationship with him. Whatever decision ASUU will take has to go around. They will have a town hall. From town hall, they will come to their executive committee before a decision will now be reached. So it's difficult for one person to say, because it's close to government, get a way to get ASUU members to agree to government's demand. It's a very well-organized labor union, and I can see this thing going on and on if government does not.
All right, thank you very